At the story beginning, we see that after Gyutaro and Daki are killed, Muzan tells Nakimi to call the 12 Kizuki's upper moon demons to Infinity Castle. Akaza tries to figure out what's going on before Muzan himself gets there. After 113 years, the upper moon demons were called to Infinity Castle, which only happens when someone dies. Akaza knows this and is eager to find out who just died. Eventually, Muzan also arrives at the Infinity Castle, where he expresses his disappointment to the upper-ranked demons. When Doma claims that he has never really failed to fulfill any tasks that have been given to him, Muzan swiftly reminds him that the Ubuyashiki family is still not found. He also tells the demons there that, despite his clear orders, the blue spider lily has not been found yet. Muzan gets very angry that the demons in the upper rank haven't done anything good. Then, Gyoko says that he knows something that could be extremely helpful in the long run. Muzan gets very angry and tells the upper rank 5 that he must never tell him anything that isn't true. Soon after that, he leaves, which causes the upper rank demons to argue. In the end, all the demons leave the Infinity Castle, leaving only Doma behind. In Tanjiro's dream, someone brings tea to a demon slayer sitting on a porch. The demon slayer has the same earrings as Tanjiro and thanks the person gently. He apologizes to his guest for making him watch his sleeping wife and child, but the guest doesn't mind, saying that it's hard to give birth and raise a child. He then says that he will soon leave because it's rude to eat free food, but the guest's host says that he has saved their lives and made it possible for the child to be born. Then he asks his guest's name because he wants to remember it. The guest doesn't want to give his name, even though he has no one to pass it on to. The young man insists on hearing it, saying that even a charcoal seller like himself will know it someday. Then, almost 2 months after the battle with Gyutaro and Daki, Tanjiro finally wakes up from his coma. He finds out that Zenitsu is already far away on a mission. Inosuke got better the fastest, and he was soon sent on a mission by himself. Later, Tanjiro finds out about the letters Hotaru sent to him. He also finds out that Hotaru has refused to make him another sword. Tanjiro doesn't have any other choice, so he goes to the swordsmith village to get a new one. There, he meets the chief of the village and finds out that Hotaru has been missing for a while. Love Hashira Kanroji runs into Tanjiro by accident when he goes to a nearby spring to relax. They spend time together and even eat a meal together. Kanroji is asked to look at the sword being made for Genya when they go to bring her some food. Kanroji pulls Tanjiro aside to tell him something important after being asked to look at the sword. It turns out that Love Hashira expects him to find a secret weapon hidden in the swordsmith village. She doesn't say much about the weapon itself though, and just walks away. Later, Tanjiro hears that Hotaru Hagonezuka is still missing and that people are still looking for her. In the meantime, he needs to heal from his wounds and prepare for the challenges. The next day, after eating breakfast provided by the village, Tanjiro and Nezuko set out to find the hidden weapon. As they walk, he says that his sense of smell is still not fully healed, so he can still smell the hot springs. Suddenly, he hears 2 voices arguing in the distance. One is a young swordsmith who wants to protect something, and the other is a demon slayer who wants him to use it. He sees that the swordsmith is Mist Hashira Muichiro Tokito, but as he watches, he notices something that looks familiar. He moves closer and is surprised to see what looks like the same man from his dream. Muichiro Tokito gets into a fight with a boy who turns out to be Kotetsu, while Tanjiro watches from a distance. When the bullying gets too bad, Tanjiro steps in and tries to stop Flame Hashira, who keeps asking for some kind of key. Tanjiro tries to give a speech about how important swordsmen are in a fight against demons when he sees that he doesn't respect swordsmen and only cares about Hashiras, but Muichiro is in a hurry and knocks him out before he can finish. Kotetsu tells him that the Flame Hashira is gone by the time he wakes up. He was actually asking for the keys to the mechanical doll there, Yorichi Type 0, so that he could practice with it. It turns out that Kotetsu's ancestors made the doll 300 years ago, during the Sengoku period. Some say it was made to look like a warrior living around that time, but he moved so quickly that the people who made the Yorichi Type 0 gave it 6 arms so that it could look like he did. When Tanjiro and Kotetsu finally saw Muichiro training with the Mist Hashira, they were surprised by how quickly it moved. It turns out that he is a prodigy because he is the son of the person who knew how to use the sun-breathing techniques. Kotetsu feels bad about himself because his ancestors were so talented and he is not good at anything. Tanjiro follows him into the forest after he runs away. He doesn't give up until he gets his new friend to come back. When they get back, Muichiro is done training, and it turns out that he broke one of Yoichi Type Zero's arms. After Muichiro walks away with one of Yoichi Type Zero's arms, Kotetsu rushes over to the mechanical doll to see if it is still working. Even though the doll is damaged, it can still be used for training, even though it is not in the best shape. Kotetsu wants revenge so badly that he tells Tanjiro that he needs to train with Yoichi Type Zero to get strong enough to beat the Mist Hashira. This is the start of Tanjiro's hard training under Kotetsu, a teacher who doesn't know much. Even though the doll is now armed with wooden clubs, Tanjiro can't hit it because of how fast it moves. Even though he couldn't defend himself before, seeing a way to beat Muichiro at his own game shows that Kotetsu is angry, has a sharp tongue, and is a good thinker. He insults the Hashira in front of the Demon Slayer and shows him where he went wrong when fighting the doll. Kotetsu makes Tanjiro train without eating or drinking as a punishment because he wants him to feel how important it is to beat it. Even so, Tanjiro still can't land a hit, and with a lack of food, it's making him even weaker, which makes the task even harder. A light rain gives Tanjiro a drink, but he soon passes out in the middle of a fight with a Yoichi Type Zero, who now has real swords thanks to Kotetsu. Tanjiro walks across the bridge to the afterlife and seems to see himself in the Sanzu River. However, he falls into the river by accident. Even though he is dizzy from hunger and surrounded by dark water, he feels a warm massage and sees and can even smell a shiny stone on the ocean floor. When he touches it, he wakes up and finds himself in the middle of an attack with the battle doll. He smells something new that wasn't there in the opening thread and looked at how the doll's arms and legs move in a certain way. Now that he knows how to attack, Tanjiro avoids a blow to the head and gets low, but he doesn't hit hard enough and falls to the ground. When Kotetsu sees that Tanjiro is tired and hungry, he gives him some food. This makes Tanjiro very happy. Tanjiro does better against the bladed Yoichi Type Zero now that he has eaten and gotten his strength back. He can also see what it is going to do before it does it. He moves back to plan an attack, then runs at the doll and jumps up, going over it as he falls and slashing it with his sword. But he stops in the middle of his attack because he doesn't want to destroy something too important to Kotetsu. Unexpectedly, the swordsmith tells him to hit it, knowing that he can fix it if it breaks. This lets Tanjiro finish what he set out to do. As the doll comes close to hitting him and cutting through his hair, Tanjiro twists his body and makes contact, breaking the blade he was using and falling to the ground. Kotetsu runs to him, and the Demon Slayer apologizes for the broken sword, but the smith doesn't care. Then they hear the body of the doll break open where it was hit, and the head falls apart to reveal a sword inside. When Tanjiro and Kotetsu see the sword that is more than 300 years old, they can't believe it. When Tanjiro finally manages to break the Yoichi Type Zero, he discovers a sword that is over 300 years old inside of it. Nonetheless, he believes that it belongs to Kotetsu as his ancestors constructed it. Kotetsu, on the other hand, thinks that Tanjiro is the only one who should have the sword. After a short talk, they decide that they should at least look at the blade, but they are sad when they open it and find a rusty sword that doesn't look like it can be used. Suddenly, a big man walks toward them, and Tanjiro recognizes Mr. Heigonezuka. He asks Tanjiro and Kotetsu to give him the sword, but they don't believe him. Later, it turns out that he wants to take it away to polish it so Tanjiro can keep it. Mr. Heigonezuka ends up keeping the sword for the next 3 days and nights so he can work on it. Genya hears the whole story from Tanjiro, which is not very nice to him. He asks why Genya's teeth look so good because he still has the broken tooth that fell out of his mouth. Genya doesn't answer his questions because she kicks him out of the room. Later, Muichiro goes to Tanjiro's room to ask if he knows a swordsmith named Kanamori. It turns out that he is with Mr. Heigonezuka, and Tanjiro offers to help Mist Hashira find his new swordsmith. Takito is surprised by how kind Tanjiro is, so he asks him why he cares so much about other people. The less experienced Demon Slayer says that he is sure that everything we we do for other people helps us in the long run. Muichiro and Tanjiro are talking when they suddenly realize that someone is listening to them from outside the room. Tanjiro is shocked when the door opens and the upper rank 4 Hantengu walks in. Tanjiro is shocked that he didn't know Hantengu was there until he walked into the room. Miss Hashira, on the other hand, is ready to fight right away and tries to kill the upper rank 4 immediately. But Hantengu is quick enough to avoid the sword and jump to the ceiling as it comes at him. With tears in his eyes, the upper rank 4 begs the demon slayers not to torture him. Tanjiro tells himself that he is very dangerous and has already killed many people, so he can't be kind. He tries to kill Hantengu with Hinokami Kagura, but the demon dodges it again. But Nezuko takes him by surprise. She kicks him in the stomach, and then Muichiro cuts off the demon's head. Even though this could have killed any normal demon, Tanjiro knows that the upper ranks are different and tells the Mist Hashira not to let his guard down. The headless body suddenly splits into 2 different demons. One of them hits Muichiro and throws him through the roof. He lands somewhere in the jungle. Nezuko catches her brother just in time, but before they can get back up, the other demon uses a weapon to shock the 2 siblings. As Tanjiro reels from the attack and is about to lose consciousness, he looks up and sees someone on the roof. Genya shoots Nichirin's steel shot at the demons with a handgun with 2 barrels. The shot kills Sakido, but only cuts Karaku's neck in half. He runs down with his sword to finish off the second demon, who employs a new attack on him. Tanjiro tries to tell Genya that the demons can't be defeated if they want him to cut off their heads. This is happening as Genya kills Karaku. As the demons heal and grow new bodies and heads, Tanjiro realizes that cutting off their heads is not the way to kill them. However, he can't find a weak spot because they all heal at the same rate. Now that all his opponents are visible, he notices that one seems missing, but the missing winged demon pulls him up so quickly that Nezuko can't get to him in time. Tanjiro tells her to help Genya instead, but he is shocked when he sees the spear-wielding demon pierce him. The winged demon insults him by saying he only cares about himself and not other people, and then gets ready to attack. The demon slayer tries to use Hinokami Kagura, but he gets hit by a powerful sonic shriek that makes him bleed and only cuts the demon's leg. Tanjiro tries to grab a tree branch as he falls, but he fails and hits the ground hard. Even though he wants to get up and save the villagers, his body feels numb and he can't hear anything because of the attack. Suddenly he realizes that the demon's leg is still holding, and when he turns around, he sees a new head about to send another sonic attack. Muichiro lands safely, but a long way away. He runs back to help Tanjiro deal with the demon, but he sees a demon that looks like a fish trying to eat Kotetsu. Since he is a child and doesn't know how to use a sword, he doesn't think it's important to help him and keeps going. As the demon grabs Kotetsu, he thinks that the demon is not the main body, but a body made with a technique. He says that finding the main body is more important and that protecting the chief is the most important thing to do when the village is attacked. The Hashira then remembers what Tanjiro said about helping others and how that would help him in the future. This makes Muichiro stop in his tracks. As the fish demon is making Kotetsu almost pass out, its arm is cut off. This frees the young swordsmith from the fish demon's grip. Muichiro runs up to Kotetsu and stands in front of him. He tells Kotetsu to run away because he won't help him fight. Thanks for watching. If this series is the most liked in my anime recap production, I will make a part 2. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to help me make more content.